Welcome, historical warmongers, time traveling diplomats, and self righteous telepaths, to episode 360 of An Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 1st of July, 2020, and featuring Big Finish Susan's War Sphere of Influence, written by Eddie Robson and starring Caroline Ford as Susan, and Susan Campbell, and William Russell as Ian Chesterton. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and I regret to inform you that the mind reading machine is still malfunctioning. With me are Randy Ronson McCulloch,
Yeah, apparently Matt can't be said to say, hey, testing finished, ready to start.
Mad Matt Winchell,
Who can't talk over loud Randy and has to start screaming in order to get people to listen.
and Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
God bless you, Carl Reiner.
Thomas Fireheart will not be with us for the next few weeks as he does not enjoy audio drama.
More
Shame
like
him
he
into
won't
Big
get another
Finish.
chance.
Yeah, we need to shame him into Big Finish.
Give sound a chance. Yeah, like what's the audio equivalent of that scene in Clockwork Orange?
Well, which scene? There's a lot of scenes in that movie, my dude.
I mean, like where
The
they
chair
pry the
scene.
guy's eyes open,
Oh,
but instead they pry the guy's ears open.
He sang the
I don't-
Clockwork Orange hymn, but with Big Finish.
Kind of be, I don't know. I don't know a really good way to close your ears, so I wouldn't think you'd have to pry them open.
That's
Well,
true.
first of all, you're going to have to tie a headset to his head. Second of all, you have to tie him down to a chair. Third of all,
So basically, you have to partially cyber convert him. Got it.
speaking of which, I was actually thinking that we should do a Cyberman episode, one of the really good ones that they did early on.
So those who listen to the stream, those who are with us on the stream and have been listening since before the countdown might have noticed, we were talking about the fact that we forgot to say rest in peace to Joel Schumacher last week, who died, I think, the same day that we aired our podcast.
It was the day or two before. Of course, the big news was
It was
What's that-
after we agreed on our opening bump.
Yeah, which
we were
was
doing
that the most
Ian
recent
Holm.
older Bilbo Baggins perished
Yeah.
as well.
Ian Holm, and then it was only like the day after Ian Holm. They're like, oh yeah, Joel Schumacher died, and I'm like, God damn it, two at once.
Well, when Holm died, I found out that the original Bilbo voice and Frodo voice actor from Rankin Bass also died.
You mentioned
Yeah.
that last week.
I think I mentioned
So,
it something else. I
cannot-
don't think I mentioned it here.
You mentioned it here. Or maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't.
I don't.
No,
I don't
I'm pretty
remember
sure it was one of our gaming sessions.
No, that's
It-
right, because we never
might have
actually
been.
talked about Ian.
Yeah, we never
Holm
talked
in the
about it last
podcast.
time.
We just had the tribute. Yeah,
Hmm
because that was right in my checklist, right next to Joel Schumacher, and that checklist
Mhm.
never got ticked off. Oh well.
Yeah, there's just been a lot of them. Speaking of which, other things before then, the voice actor for Soldier died from Team Fortress 2.
Mhm.
He actually got COVID.
Yeah, I'd heard that. That was actually several weeks ago.
Yeah, that was about a month or two ago.
Because I remember reading that and going, oh wow. He
Yeah.
wasn't a young guy though, so
He wasn't massively young, but he wasn't massively old either. He was like in his
It was-
60s, maybe 70s.
he was in his 70s. He was in his late 70s. It was like
I don't think he was
76,
that
77,
old, but I would have to
78.
double check.
But yeah, can you believe that 2020 is already half done?
I saw a picture of that too, and it was a meme, and I'm like, oh, yep,
Mhm.
share.
I mean, it's only been 5 years since January.
Oh yeah, the meme was it's a picture of Isabel from Animal Crossing going, "Can you believe it's halfway through the year 2020 now?" And the picture next to it is a meme of one of those like old forum pictures of the expression, the single image expressions, and it's like a
And
scribbled in gloomy
everything is-
version.
I'm sure everything in 2020 has been delayed until 21.
Or the tail end of this year, either way. Where everything's just gonna cluster stack on top of each other.
I know they're still planning on releasing the new Ghostbusters movie next month.
Are
and
they?
at least, at least
I thought I
AMC is
heard it was
planning.
pulled back.
I hadn't heard that the Top Gun movie got pulled back
I thought Ghostbusters
because
got
that was
pulled back. I believe Black Widow they're literally
Is
sitting on until things get better and then they'll release
is
it.
is anything coming out that's not a sequel to an 80s or a 90s franchise?
no, because 80s and 90s is back again.
Back again. It never goes away, dude.
No,
Yeah.
everything comes in cycles.
Really? Because I think they're still making Transformers movies.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
rebooted it. They did a Bumblebee's reboot. Bumblebee reboot.
I see nothing about Afterlife being pushed back. So, as far as I'm aware, it's still mid-August. But
Don't check
I've
the
heard,
IMDb really quick.
I've
Nope.
heard that.
Nope. 5th of March 2021.
Wait, so when I look something up while we're talking about it, I'm being pedantic, but you can check IMDb.
Because it's a quick 1 minute or less search, Bill. You're trying to do
Anyway.
deep dives, so it's like moving along.
Our
Just because your
according
internet connection
to
is faster
another
than mine.
piece of news is that one of our local theaters is supposed to be trying to open somewhere in the middle of this month. I'm like, good luck. But they're doing that because if they don't open soon, they're going to be out of business.
Yeah, that seems to be a lot of the theater companies right now. They've been
Yeah.
they've been burning money big time the entire time they've been closed.
Well, yeah, that's because all the money they were going to be making out of these movies that were coming out for their summer blockbuster release month, either they've all been pushed back or the filming companies have been releasing them direct to like Amazon.
Because and all of the other countries have been saying, okay, we'll freeze your rent and your property tax until we can get this shit sorted out.
And
And the United States is saying COVID is a hoax.
yeah, or that's either COVID is a hoax or it'll be over shortly.
Mhm.
Whereas in California, they've got the biggest sudden extra burst of more numbers now.
California, Florida, and Texas, by my understanding.
I only saw an article that mentioned California in particular. Suddenly got a huge burst of more of them.
Well, it's not just there. Here in Wisconsin, numbers have been up too. I've been paying attention to that on the local news feeds.
Like
I think all of them have been a slow progression, but apparently California like doubled or more, like really fast.
I know Florida, like they opened everything, then they had a huge spike, and then they were like, wait, let's close everything back again. Like
The Disney's over there like, we need to make money. We don't want to be blamed. We need to make money.
And
We don't want to
then
be blamed.
we have doctors testifying. Yeah, even if we wind up with a vaccine, it's only going to be about 75% effective, and only 2/3 of the people are going to be taking it, and that's not enough to stop a pandemic.
which that makes sense because we never there's never a year where you don't know anybody who gets the flu.
Yeah. It's just this is
Um,
slightly more lethal.
I don't know. I don't never hear anybody getting the flu, but I know that my family avoids getting the flu shot because they get the flu every damn time and they don't get it when they don't take it. So
I've got the flu shot the last 2 years because my doctor is like, no, get it, because if you get a bad flu, you're dead. Thank you.
I know I'm supposed to get a flu shot, but I also know that I usually don't have insurance by flu season, and they charge for you to get the flu shot if you don't have insurance. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm not getting a flu shot.
That's the thing. Insurance here in Wisconsin's wonderful. They pay for everything.
I'm really looking forward. I hope it's a good insurance, but I'm going to be on an insurance plan through my new school starting in September. I really hope it's a good plan because I haven't had a primary care doctor since I was in high school. So it would be nice to, have a proper physical with someone who just doesn't blame everything wrong with me on being fat. Because every time I try to go to a new doctor, every time I say anything, they just look at my stomach, sigh, and roll their eyes.
Yeah, I have a couple of doctors like that. The cardiologist I've gone to see is like that. I hate him.
It's like I tell them I'm trying to lose weight, but I keep running out of breath because of my asthma. They're like, well, if you lost weight, you wouldn't run out of breath. Thank you. Thank you so much
Fuck
for
you.
that
Fuck
help.
you for not helping, doctor. I just told you I have asthma.
Yeah,
Yes,
I know. And you notice it's always these rail skinny doctors
Yep.
Mhm,
that think that,
mhm,
you're
mhm,
overweight, so you should be able to
mhm.
spend a weekend in the gym and suddenly be the perfect weight.
Hmm.
Like, and didn't doctors like vow to be hippopotamuses?
Hippocratic, yes. Yes, Tim.
Actually, I swear to God, it's the Hippocratic Oath. Seriously. Anyway, on
That's
tonight's show,
yep.
we have slight bit of news, followed by a little rumor I need to break,
We
and
also have
some blame
birthday.
to throw around. Well, yeah, birthdays come with the news. Then after that, do we have any geek talk tonight?
I
I don't
don't
believe
think we
so.
have Geek Talk, but I believe Bill has a review of Shame.
I do.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got no geek talk. We've got a review of Shame, but to pad this out a bit, we do have a bonus review for those of us that saw it. We're going to briefly review the Big Finish short trip, All Hands on Deck, which is a prequel to our main review.
I forgot. I
That's
actually
okay.
downloaded, but I forgot I didn't have time to listen to it.
That's
Ah,
fine. It's probably just going to be Bill and myself.
All right.
I didn't even realize it until I had finished watching it, was getting into the behind the scenes, and they're talking about, we did this thing called All Hands on Deck. And I'm like, and that's the prequel to this. I'm like, seriously? Oh shit, didn't Bill put that up? Oh shit. And then I downloaded it quick and listened to it like right before
that's
supposed to.
actually why I was hyped enough to go out and buy Susan's War, because otherwise I don't think I would have bothered. But having already listened to that, it was on my mind.
Okay. Anyway, so let's get down to business. We do
To
have some
defeat the
birthdays.
Huns?
We have some birthdays starting on June 28th. The first birthday we have is Lala Ward, who played the second Romana from 1979 to 1981. She turned 69.
Okay. Oh,
That
really quick before we move on to the next one, I saw someone from Big Finish post their favorite to least favorite companions, and she was actually in the lower half. I'm like, heretic, unclean. And they're literally their post above it was like, I expect some brush fires to happen here.
It really depends. I mean, if it's somebody from Big Finish and they've worked with these people, it might be just who's more pleasant for them to work with.
No,
But
they were just rating them by companion,
yeah, but
supposedly.
that still might be based on their personal experience, not their watching experience.
Mm.
Anyway, the next birthday we have is the next day, the 29th of June, and that is Maureen O'Brien, who played Vicky from 1965 to 66. She turned 77. Then the next birthdays we have are July 1st. The first is one of our honorary birthdays, and that's for David Prowse,
Mm-hmm.
who was the Minotaur, the suit actor for the Minotaur in the Time Meddler. And then, of course, is better known as the suit actor for Darth Vader in the Star Wars films. He
Yeah.
turned 85, so he's not doing any suit acting anytime soon.
I think I've seen him on
Did-
crutches, sadly.
Yeah,
Ah.
he's not healthy.
His big size is not helping him in his late years. Yeah,
I imagine crutches are a death knell for a prolific suit actor.
Yep.
basically.
And he
He's
doesn't
not doing
he
anything
doesn't
that doesn't require sitting.
and he doesn't have the voice to be a voice actor. So his
No,
accent
he's always
is
had
very
difficulty
thick and his
being
voice is
understood
kind of high.
as voices, so he has a very thick accent, from what I hear.
Very thick accent, a quiet voice. So,
Hmm.
and then also on the same day today is the birthday of Jean Marsh, who played Sarah Kingdom in 1965. Technically a companion,
Kind of,
although
sorta.
that's argued. Yeah, that is argued among the fan base.
More than
'Cause
one episode, but
only-
not more than one story.
yeah,
It was only one story, but it was a super long story.
yeah. She didn't make it out of the serial. It was a big serial though. So
Yeah.
and that was the Dalek's master plan. She turned 86. All right.
It's still going.
So the only news other than the article I'll be talking about with the rumor mill is Big Finish news.
Yep.
And they have one new release out. That's the Short Trip Out of the Deep. So you can download that from the Big Finish website for the usual price. They have also released their final free download of the Lockdown, and it's actually one I think we covered, Robophobia, Part 1.
That's the Robots Death one, right?
Yes.
All right.
Oh yeah.
I think we did cover that.
So you can download that from the weekly deals page at the Big Finish website.
I believe they also recently recast. Yes, they recently recast Richard Armitage as the new Rassilon in Gallifrey Time War series.
Or the previous Rassilon. Yeah.
Yeah, a Rassilon before Timothy Dalton.
Yep. All right. So let's go to the rumor mill. So this is something that came up in my social feed. I originally saw the original version, and then my feed blew up over the next 2 days with different news articles reporting it as fact. This is not a fact. It's not even really a rumor.
Yeah, I have to double check where that rumor source is, but yeah, it does sound like it's not even really a rumor.
It's an
Yeah.
opinion piece. It was an opinion piece posted by Nerdrotic on YouTube, where he took an article that was posted in the Radio Times.
Now,
The
the article
original
part is
article-
correct where they are thinking that it might be delayed, but then that's the rumor that it might be delayed this next season.
Yes.
But speculation does not news.
No. So what this guy did is he took this article, which stated that due to this current social distancing situation, he feels that Doctor Who cannot be made for that Series 13 cannot be filmed under the current social distancing issues. What Nerdrotic went and did is speculated that instead of social distancing, it's the BBC basically firing Jodie and Chris for social justice reasons, when there is absolutely no evidence of it. I read through this article. It is literally, this is a nice little factual article from the Radio Times of somebody's opinion that because of, the 6 foot distances and, people having to wear masks and all this, and it doesn't look like that's letting up anytime soon, that Doctor Who can't be filmed. And if you think about it, that's a pretty reasonable thought.
That's a very reasonable thought, and it's quite possible. It's going to be pushed back months at this point, possibly, with how the virus counts keep fluctuating.
And once everything's released, it's going to be a mass flood of a whole bunch of shows trying to get time in the various studios. Now, Doctor Who may have a designated studio in Cardiff.
Possibly.
But even so, that might wind up getting double booked by studios that basically need additional space to start getting stuff out on time. I mean, the BBC is going to soon be crapping because they're going to start needing to get their Christmas specials filmed.
Yeah, I think the Christmas special actually for Doctor Who is done already. They're
Yes, it
maybe
is.
doing like post stuff right now, but otherwise it's done.
The thing about
the
post work
festive
is,
special, because they don't want to tell us what holiday it's releasing on.
yeah,
Yeah,
and,
festive special because they can't decide when they're going to release it. Yeah.
if a worker has a powerful enough computer, he can do some of that post work from home.
Yeah. As a matter of fact,
Um,
it's almost suggested that some of them have those just in case for work at home anyway. Says someone
that's
who was part
possible
of studying animation at one point.
So it's quite possible that work is still progressing, but anything involving filming requires usually about 50 people at the minimum. Once you get into the actors, the directors, the producers, the gaffers, the linemen,
And
the lighting specialists, etc.,
and that
all
includes
have to be within, you know,
that includes
gathering of. Go
that
ahead, Bill.
that includes any pickup shots that include visuals.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So even if 41 and a half minutes of the episode are done, if they need to refilm 30 minutes of it, 30 seconds of it, that needs all that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that needs a whole lot of extra stuff, and that possibly includes having the actors have stuff at their home too to record with, and
Yeah.
praying they have a good enough tech there to do
Good
it.
enough
It's like,
way to green screen it in, yeah.
yeah,
But
the green
yeah,
screen is
it's
not the hard part. It's getting the clear footage for it. That's the hard part.
And if there's one thing 2020 has taught us is that most celebrities do not have the capability to shoot a video of themselves in high quality
Nope,
from
mhm.
their home,
not even
Well,
slightly.
yeah, nobody was really set up for this except for the people
except
that do,
YouTubers.
except YouTubers. Which is why, by the way, that YouTubers have been making out like bandits while people like Bill Maher and the Late Show and Late Late Show people have all been suffering ratings
Yeah.
drop-offs
Oh,
because
I will
they're
say
not
there's been
set
also
up
a
to
few
do it.
clips. I can't say about all of them, but I think some of the late shows have been kind of trying to do like unscripted stuff, and they've kind of proven why they need writers.
Yeah,
Just like, oof.
Well,
but
I know in March and April they were really floundering because they weren't sure how to time their delivery without an audience reaction.
yep.
That doesn't help either, I suppose. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're used to instant
they were
reaction.
they were trying to do their normal stand up, and because they weren't getting an audience, um it was like they would do a line dead silence, which was uncomfortable, and then they would try to continue on, which didn't work.
For, for,
Um
for the record, I know some professors and teachers who have been doing classes virtually have had the same problem.
oh yeah, because this is not how they're used to it,
Hmm.
and they're having trouble adapting. But and that's the problem here, is the fact that you try to do, the shots of, Jodie and crew in the TARDIS without getting them together, you're going to have to spend an obscene amount of money on green screen work, which they don't have set up to do. Either
Yeah, they
that
don't
or
even
you
have
would
the
have to
backgrounds ready.
either that or you would have to walk them into the studio individually to do these shots, which is a fuck ton of time consumption.
Unless BBC makes a Zoom background of the TARDIS available.
Even there, it's not enough.
No, you
No.
you still need time to record the actors and everything properly too.
Yeah, it's and then of course that doesn't even get to the point of on-site filming or any, sets that they would do for locations.
Hmm.
And all of that is just going to be way too much.
Uh, yep, just a moment.
Let up, or because they're getting to the point where they were supposed to start filming next month. So unless suddenly something happens and they can let stuff up by next month, filming is going to be delayed, which means the series is going to be delayed. So that makes sense. This guy then turns, looks at the ratings drop off that we do know happened, and saying, "Oh no, this is just a cover for the BBC firing Jodie and Chris."
No, that's where it just becomes a P and piece, and he's just blowing it out of his ass because he's just really upset.
Now,
Me
here's why.
and Randy are upset at how the last season ended, but we're not blowing shit out of our ass.
Correct. And the fact is that he said this, and he went on for 12 minutes about this.
For at
And
least
then
a good 10 minutes or so, yeah.
And then this started to get picked up by Daily Spy and a few other magazines, and I think eventually I even saw it on Entertainment Weekly.
Which is a
And I'm like,
which is a sign that these people need to find some real freaking news.
yes.
Also, if someone talks for 12 minutes out their ass, it's because of the YouTube algorithm, not because they found something intelligent up
Part A, Part B.
Yep. Which means, whenever I see a piece of news like this, I check the source and I see what the source says. It took me 10 minutes. You cannot tell me that these magazines don't have some asshole sitting somewhere that can look this up and go, no, it's bullshit. So, yeah, this is a fail by the person.
Fact
Who
checkers have been laid off.
Actually, that's a possibility.
I wouldn't see why. They could still be doing their jobs from home.
But that's extra people, Randy. You don't want extra people. Cut them off and save money. Because we're a big corporation and we're not scum if we aren't firing people for no reason.
But, it's just, no, there's this. This is just something that got sensationalized and shouldn't. So if you're starting to see people posting this to you on Facebook on how season 13 is canceled, kick them in the dick. Tell them to piss off and move on.
Yeah, that's right. He even goes so extreme that at one point he even theorized that maybe 13 is canceled, but he's like, nah, more likely it's not. Because they've already written it.
That's what his freaking YouTube video started with. It literally says Doctor Who's Jodie Whittaker and Chibnall out after Series 13. That's the title of his
after
YouTube
Series 13, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That again, that's the extremely big hypothesis only coming out of him.
It is possible Jodie may leave after Series 13.
I think she's even hinting at the idea.
Not because it's first. Now, think about this.
Not because of anything else, because she wants to move on, yeah.
How many series did Tennant have? Not
3.
including his movie seasons.
Mm-hmm.
About 3. And
how
this would be...
seasons did Smith have? Not including us 3. How many seasons did Capaldi have?
Yep.
I believe that was 3. Yeah.
Yeah. The only new Doctor that hasn't bowed out after 3 seasons is Eccleston because he left at 1. So yeah, I'm expecting her to leave after Series 13. Because that seems to be the average run of a Doctor.
Hell, I think we've only had 2 Doctors to this day that had more than.
Only
not
2?
counting years, counting.
No, it was usually around 4.
Because so the first 2 Doctors had 3, the 3rd Doctor had 5, the 4th Doctor had 7, the 5th Doctor I think only had 3.
3. 6th Doctor had 2.
7th
Doctor had 3. 8th Doctor had a movie.
Yep.
And a webisode.
So yeah, only Pertwee and Baker had more than 3 seasons.
Yes, I know, but theirs were long enough.
Question, but
theirs were long enough that it broke up the average. Especially Baker's, but either way, I'm expecting her to be gone after 13 or possibly stick out for some specials.
Yeah, maybe stick out for a special or 2 to maybe help blend into the next season better.
And then bow out.
Mm-hmm.
And then be replaced by somebody else because that's the way it works.
Yeah.
However, it's not because the BBC is forcing her out. It's just the way that it seems to be the actor evolved. You can only be the Doctor for so many years. Jodie's almost done putting in her time. And, she'll move on to bigger, better things. And somebody else will take the helm and steer the TARDIS for another 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe she'll stay longer. She still has that option.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tom Baker stayed for 7. Pertwee stayed for 5. Colin was going to stay indefinitely before he got kicked out, and that was because Michael Grade was an asshole.
Yep. Because Michael Grade was an asshole, and I believe one of the producers was bunking poor Colin's wife.
That was Michael Grade.
No, that was Michael Grade. Okay. Yeah. He was an asshole, and his wife was apparently a piece of work, too.
Yeah. But, so yeah. don't believe any of this until you hear it straight from the BBC.
Don't believe
they
it
aren't
even
gonna
until you
pull
hear
some
some actual trustworthy resources. Yeah.
The second you start hearing people screaming that they're being leaved for social justice reasons, and don't believe it. I believe if ratings continue low, they may look at replacing Chris Chibnall, but it will
Yeah.
be
That'll
his
be if
replacement.
the season continues to flounder.
That will be his replacement's choice whether to replace Whitaker. And if they do, it's going to cause a hell of a controversy if she doesn't leave of her own free will. Anyway, so that is the rumor mill. I will consider that rumor broken. Shame on you, Neurotic, and even more shame on all of your all the magazines.
Yeah, particularly shame on these news places that took a guy's theory and ran with it like it's actual news. Fuck you.
Yep. So, let's move on to the review of Shame.
Shame. So,
Bill?
Bill.
Yep. So this is The Smugglers, and this is the third time I've attempted to watch it. Every time I've either fallen asleep or spaced out. And I've got to say, of course, a lot of that is due to the fact that it's an entirely lost episode. There are maybe a few seconds spattered throughout 4 episodes that are actually there. And that's a huge part of it. But we are including that in our final ratings.
Mm-hmm.
If the telesnaps fuck up the episode, then the episode's fucked until they fix it.
Until they make the animated version.
Yes. So the main things that I put as what I disliked about the episode was that it focuses on establishing 2 companions that I personally consider to be pretty bland companions throughout their entire run. They don't start off especially interesting, and they never really get there to me. And the worst scene of it is that the opening scene is basically a highlights reel from An Unearthly Child. And not in a good way, considering that there has been development since then. The funny thing is, even in the following scene, the Doctor shows how much he's developed. He actually has different moods and this interest and things going on. So why did you just give us the exact same entry onto the TARDIS as we had gotten before? And I'm sure if they animated or found these episodes, I would have something I liked and a favorite scene. But I just don't in this version. I've tried several times to watch it. I did go back after I fell asleep. I woke up, ate some dinner, and went back and finished the episode. Still couldn't find anything. I was like, oh yeah, I enjoy this. I can't give it the worst rating of all of Doctor Who because it didn't actively piss me off. But it's pretty damn close. I can barely get through it, and it's not a fun time. Which to me is 1.5 out of 5.
Captain Randy.
Yeah, I know.
Can I call him a lazy bum now?
All right. That will do to the Smugglers, which was averaging a 3.0 before.
It really was. I was going to go back and check, but I never got around.
Yeah, as much as the stills hurt it, Bill, it's legitimately a pretty good episode.
See, I was never entertained by it at any.
Shame.
And that drops it from a 3 down to a 2.6.
Shame.
Which will take the rankings from where they were, which was at 284, and drop it to 309.
Yeah, because I think I was like towards the 3 or maybe closer to 4. I'm not sure, but I just remember this being like, I really like the audio, but damn it all, the stills kill it.
And that was we all rated it 3. All 3 of
Oh,
all 3
we all
of us
3 of us rated it 3. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've got Mr. point and a half. So there you have it. Shame on Bill. Ruining a mediocre episode and turning it into, well,
in my notes I wrote down to give it a 1, but I thought that wasn't fair to Journey of the Center of the TARDIS as being
To be honest, you didn't
as
even
being
stay awake the entire episode,
being
is what you're
empiric,
telling
but
me.
no, that's what I'm saying. So over the past 7 years, I've watched it. I've tried to watch it 3 times. It never kept my attention in any of those attempts. And yes, that factors into it. That's because I can watch Doctor Who
I
episodes.
sat through it one
cannot
go
watch
and I loved it. It
episodes.
was just that it really sucked. It was all stills. I'm sorry, Bill, but no, I have to really disagree with you.
That's fine.
you know, little known fact, I have a hard time staying awake through Empire Strikes Back, and that has visuals.
Wow.
Wow,
I always get to the part where they're fixing the Millennium Falcon, and I start falling asleep.
I will say that's maybe one of the slowest points in the series is the fixing the Millennium Falcon bit in the middle.
I wake up and they're somewhere on Cloud City near the end, and I'm like, what the hell?
I will say there are parts of A New Hope where I space out because it just drags for a while, but not.
I watched that one recently, had no problems.
Shame on the both of you.
But that's why A New Hope was always my 3rd favorite Star Wars movie of the original 6. I haven't recalibrated with the new one.
The new ones are sadly declining order at the bottom of the pile.
I haven't watched any of the new ones often enough to be able to give them the same fair rating that I give the others.
Oh, I saw enough. I might buy them in like a cheap trilogy pack or something, but oof.
I still haven't watched 9.
I'm actually more willing to buy the prequel trilogy now that I've seen the sequels.
I can watch 9 anytime. I have frickin' Disney Plus on my phone. I could sit here after the podcast and watch 9. I have no inclination to.
I kind of wish I could take back seeing 9.
I'd rather watch frickin' Bedknobs and Broomsticks from, what was that, the 60s?
Oh God,
70s.
I love Bedknobs as Broomsticks. Best ending ever.
We've gone off topic.
A week and a half ago, I sat here and watched 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I
That was
could
a
be
good movie.
watching MCU or Disney. Instead, I'm watching classic Disney movies. Because why? Because they're awesome.
So,
Anyway.
all hands on deck.
Yes.
I hope I wasn't expected to do a summary for that because I did not take notes. I mean, actually, I probably could.
Well, it's basic. Susan winds up running into the Doctor, who basically is trying to stop her being recruited to fight in the Time War. He fails.
The Doctor spends all week trying to distract her from going back to her apartment and getting her email, but he underestimates her. She's too clever and gets back before he's ready.
Yep. That's basically it in a nutshell.
Yep.
So the entire thing is narrated by Carol Ann Ford.
Yep.
Which actually was a bit of an issue for me because her portrayal of the 8th Doctor, which was who this was supposed to be.
She does not do his voice, yeah.
She doesn't do his voice, nor does she manage to do any of his mannerisms.
Mm-hmm.
At least worth anything. It's kind of hard to tell what Doctor it's supposed to be except by her description.
Which that kind of makes sense because the companions that do the mannerisms well are the ones that spent time on screen acting alongside that person, and Carol Ann Ford has never done anything except for audios, and very few of them with Paul McGann.
And we don't know if she was actually doing her audio at the same time again.
Yeah, they might not have even been in the studio the same week for all we know.
But that did make for a rather lacking audio.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe they couldn't even get McGann to go in there and, let Carol Ann narrate everybody else. That's fine, but get McGann in there to do his lines. They've done that before, even on short trips.
If you don't know that the earthly child exists, you might think that she's talking about the first Doctor.
Mm-hmm. No, it mentions the whole thing about the green coat and the cravat, which, yeah.
Yeah, but we never know what color coat the first Doctor wears.
But yeah, it's a thing. Other than that, it was a decent story. A little bit confusing, but decent. Um, Not anything that really got me hyped, but enough that I was like, okay, so that's what's going on. And what's your thought, Bill?
Um, I mean it did kind of get me hyped. I think it was more just the idea of Time War content with Susan, and just the fact that like she argues for her own involvement and goes her own separate path from the Doctor. So that really, I think that's probably what got me hyped, along with the fact that especially at the time that this came out, where like we don't know what's going on with Susan during the Time War. We don't know what's going on with Romana during the Time War. I mean, yeah, actually, yeah, because this was really before anything tying the existing Romana stuff to RTD's Time War. So you can say that the last war in heaven is part of the Time War. You can say it's not. Either way, we did not know what was going on with any of the established characters during RTD Time War. And so I think that more than anything else really got me hyped after listening to that.
All right. Um, so if you were going to give it a hypothetical rating, what would it be?
Do short trips get a sliding scale, or is it up against full episodes?
It would be as if we were ready to get for our master list. Though I do want to talk to you about that
Mm-hmm.
after the stream.
Okay. I guess 3.5, just because I find it hard to justify giving something so short and with a single actress with the acting issues that you mentioned higher than that.
All right.
If I were viewing it just for the as a raw story, it would be higher. But in terms of in the scale of everything else we're looking at, that would those would be things that would definitely draw back.
All right. I would probably give it a 3. So I thought, like I said, it was okay, but I didn't think it was anything really special. So that's our thought on All Hands on Deck, which was a short trip that pretty much gave them the idea to do this whole um, box set.
You know, it'd be nice
So
if they actually included the cover art anywhere on Google. I'm searching Doctor Who, All Hands on Deck, and Big Fish, All Hands on Deck. I got nothing.
Oh wow! Did you try short trips, All Hands on Deck?
Give that a try quick. Short trips. Nope.
Oh wow!
There's a short trips, but it's something completely different.
Hmm.
A heart with both. A heart on both sides. Yeah.
Oh, that was released the same week. That's the one with Nissa in the Time War.
Well, apparently that's the one that keeps overshadowing it. Because that one will show up every other search, and the one we're looking for isn't.
Guess somebody needs to work on their SEO.
you can pop into the TARDIS data core and just do a search for All Hands on Deck, and they use they have the cover right there.
Depending upon how they have it put in there, I can't always bring up the image clearly. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check the website itself.
Yeah, I have trouble trying to separate the image because they've got a protective on it.
Well, yeah, they're saying that they have protective on it. It's just that whatever image hosting thing they use, like, covers it over with the buttons instead of just allowing me to click directly on the image. But anyway.
Anyway, we're moving on. From that, it's back to Bill for the summary for part 1 of this, which is, of course, Sphere of Influence.
Yep. Am I getting a countdown? I forget
Sure.
if we still do that. Okay. Just so I'm
Start.
synced up with the stopwatch.
Yep. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Picking up at exactly at the end of All Hands on Deck, a TARDIS in which Veclin comes to pick up Susan and bring her to the Time War is hijacked by Daleks. They're eventually retrieved and brought to Gallifrey, where Susan raises the idea that the Sensorites might be able to help them get into the TARDIS, due to the fact that it's the psychic controls that are what's they're trying to override and free from Dalek control. The Daleks are trying to are siphoning energy away from Gallifrey's Eye of Harmony due to the link with that battle TARDIS. Uh, Veclin recruits Ian as somebody who has been to the Sense Sphere with Susan, uh, and brings them together to before heading off to the Sense Sphere. Uh, Susan is in charge of diplomatic efforts in order to persuade the Sensorites to join the Time War and help them with this. Uh, the Sensorites revealed that Daleks had visited in the past and that they used their uh, telepathic powers to turn the Daleks on one another. Veclin reveals that some battle TARDISes are in orbit for any eventualities that might happen. Shortly after that, first a Sensorite attempts to assassinate Susan, and then after that fails, one takes over Veclin telepathically and attempts to use her to kill Susan. Because of this, Susan and Ian go into the core of the Sense Sphere in order to figure out what is causing unrest among the people, where they find a Dalek Sensorite hybrid. The Dalek Sensorite hybrid causes essentially a riot uh, of Sensorites attempting to do anything they can to end the peace talks, but using loud noise from Ian's cell phone, Susan and Ian are able to cause all of the Sensorites to exit or to withdraw from the core, causing the Sensorite Dalek hybrid to become essentially helpless due to not having any psychic energy drawn from others. Uh, upon realizing that the Daleks have planted this trap in the Sense Sphere, the Sensorite elders immediately decide to join the Time War and to send some soldiers to Gallifrey to help out. The end.
You did that in 2 minutes 45 seconds.
Yeah, it's
And
only
and
what, about an hour 15?
Yeah.
hmm, I will say that we don't know how much they sent for if they even sent soldiers, but they definitely sent Sensorites to psychically control the TARDIS and make it go
Yeah.
kaboom.
Well, they said they're sending. I forget the unit name that they use, but
Oh,
that
their
they're
guard unit
some
probably.
amount of
Okay.
that they're
I
sending
would al-
some amount of warriors, and that they're calling for their head general.
I would like to state one correction to yours. When
Okay.
they arrive on Gallifrey, they only kind of got part of a TARDIS. The major issue is the Daleks have the part of the TARDIS that has the link to the Eye of Harmony, and it's draining the energy from Gallifrey. Why the trip to get the Sensorites to blow it up is so important. I do remember hearing that.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
they were essentially in like the secondary console room, and they're using that to
Something like
run around really quickly.
Yep. All right. So let's talk about what you thought about this audio overall. And Tim, you are first. Hello, Tim.
Hi. Sorry.
Yep, remember not to mute yourself.
Overall, I thought that they did a very good job of taking what could have been a very boring premise of like just people negotiating and like adding just enough suspenseful moments and intrigue to like make it interesting. I uh, I liked Susan. I thought okay, now this is gonna sound nitpicky, because I know Ian is supposed to be an old man at this point, but I thought he sounded a bit too old for my taste. Like, or is like it sounded like he was a completely different person than he was. Like it didn't, and it didn't sound like the Ian Chesterton I know and love.
I think
This was supposed to be what you liked about it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you started to kind of sidetrack.
Sidetrack, but I liked the Carol Ann Ford's performance in this thing. I thought she did a good job of being an older, mature Susan.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Matt, how about you? What did you like?
Susan was one of the things on my checklist.
I think she was on everybody's checklist.
Probably. Trying to think a little bit. Can I just say, for old time's sake, that I really liked hearing the modern Dalek voices again?
Nick Briggs.
Yeah, and just hear Nicholas Briggs back to his old Dalek ways.
Yeah, well, you'll get to hear that again this holiday season.
I suppose so. Yeah, that's gonna be another Dalek episode, isn't it?
Yep, that's confirmed.
Yep. But yeah, it was really nice to hear him back doing multiple Daleks.
By the way, as an aside, apparently the picture of one of the Daleks in the episode got leaked, and the internet exploded at it. But the thing is, I think that was taken out of context, because I think that's one Dalek versus. Because I saw a scene with him when surrounded by a whole bunch of what looked like normal Daleks. So I think that might be the evolution of the one from Revolution. So
Gotcha.
Because it looked like that same design with the missing midriff and the slightly smaller head. Yeah. But anyway, that was aside. Bill, how about you?
So I liked the whole like dreamscape area where they're going from thought to thought, trying to trace back to the source of the negativity and seeing all these different sensorites, fears and concerns. I thought that was a really good segment and a really interesting way to use a psychic race such as the sensorite.
Okay. And I'm going to be a counterpoint to Tim's downer, and I'm going to say I really liked William Russell. Honest to God, it was so nice to hear him again. And yes, because mind you, he wasn't really doing any kind of voice or anything. He wasn't really doing a voice or anything when he did Ian. That's literally William Russell as he sounds today.
Yeah. I feel bad. I'm sorry.
But still, it was nice to kind of hear Ian back again, and all the wonderful references to Barbara and them confirming that Ian and Barbara wound up together, because
it's confirmed as canon.
You kind of get that feeling watching them in the series that
that there might be a
like
thing,
in the Romans and a few other episodes that they kind of started flirting with each other. So it'd be nice to know that they settled down and got married and yada yada yada. All right. So what did we dislike, Tim? Well, technically, you already gave yours.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. Also, I was looking at the download thing, like the title it said starring Carol Ann Ford, William Russell, and Paul McGann, and that was a big disappointment because I never heard Paul McGann's voice.
He's in part 4.
Part 4, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, remember that the cover is covering all 4 discs?
Yeah.
Okay.
All 4 stories.
So yeah, so that's so there's going so this one they put William Russell in, and he won't be in any of the other parts. And then so then we're gonna have Susan interacting with probably the rest of the Gallifrey cast. that they had in here, plus some Daleks, plus some whatever else they need for extras for that particular bit, and then the Doctor will be in the finale because you wouldn't want if you're only going to have him show up for one episode, it's going to be the finale.
Yep.
All right, so Matt.
Thing I didn't like. You can tell that they didn't really plan a replacement for Barbara, and it aches.
I, honest to God, am actually glad they didn't, because it would be really hard. It would be really hard for me to hear William Russell try to act against somebody else who isn't Jacqueline Hill.
Yeah, but at the same time, it rang eerily hollow for me at the very end when you hear him reacting to Barbara coming home and she's not talking back.
I actually thought they did a pretty good job of teasing that.
Yeah, it was kind of a damned if you do and damned if you don't situation, Matt.
I'm sorry, but it really rubbed me the wrong way. I went something there.
Yeah, well, you can't have Jacqueline Hill. She's dead.
I know that, but you can still have something there. Is my point. You could still have an older actress. How many older actresses do they have in that studio anyway?
Yeah, I know, but then you would hear it and you'd go, but oh, that's not Barbara. Like I said, it's a rock and a hard place for them, and they decided that it would just be too disrespectful to do it.
I'm sorry, but it still
Brown,
just makes me go,
trombone talk.
The phone had trombone talk, yeah. Basically, yeah. It was Sim-Ease.
Yeah, it's by the way, Tim.
Yes.
This let me get this image and post it in our thing. Okay. Is a picture of William Russell with Carol Ann Ford when they announced the release of this episode. So I'm going to shove that into podcast in just a second. Let me get the image.
Okay. I wait with bated breath.
It might be one from the photo shoot that I used for the title card.
Like again,
you had the card. I didn't see it.
Oh, that's sweet. All right.
It's
again,
it's one of the photos.
Look at how he looks. He is not a young man anymore.
He looks like Ian plus 50.
Like,
though.
You know me. I'm not trying to hate on William Russell.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to show that
we're just trying to drive home the point, Tim, that he's very old now.
Although
the only thing he could be in a live action version of these days would be Mr. Magoo.
Although
actually,
version of Ian
tell me you can't see it, Matt.
Actually, you might be onto something.
Randy, do you remember, or anybody else, do you remember what there was something from Doctor Who where they had spread a rumor that Ian and Barbara came back from the future and like never aged 20 or 30 years?
It was in
Oh, I remember hearing that. I'm just knee-jerking that's bogus.
It was in the Sarah Jane Adventures.
Yeah, when they meet the 11th Doctor, the death of the Doctor, or the Doctor's
the death of the Doctor. Yeah, that one.
I think using this version of Ian kind of blows away that rumor.
Yeah.
But yeah, even Sarah Jane mentioned it was a rumor.
Yeah. Even Sarah Jane's like, nah, it's a rumor, but still.
It's like, man, even in universe there are rumors that can't be
right.
trusted.
Yeah, but seriously, Matt, put a pair of Coke bottle glasses on that, and tell me that
have
would
him
not
walk
be
around with
perfect.
squinted eyes. Yeah.
I'm now picturing some Cole Hill student on TikTok talking about the legend of Ian and Barbara.
But that just Ian slowly wandering by. Excuse me, son. Can you tell me what Cole Hill School is? Oh.
So I think we're up to Bill on dislikes.
Okay. So what I disliked was, so early on they teased the connection between the sense sphere and the ood sphere, So I spent the entire story waiting for that to pay off,
No,
and
it's
it
just going to
never
be mentioned,
did.
Bill.
But they were like the first elder, the most important member of Sensorite Society, is off at diplomatic talks with the Ood, and I was like, oh, what role are the Ood going to play in this? And
Dude, they said it
then
was just a trade talk.
the first elder comes back, and there's no Ood with them. I was like, no payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
May I?
you were hoping for something that wasn't going to be there, Bill. I don't know why
I
you
mean,
were thinking there was going to be more.
Not
to be
not
to
to
be
mention the
fair,
fact
that's
that
something we have in common.
not to mention the fact that doing audio for the Ood is kind of it's one of those races that doesn't translate good to audio.
You
Since
take
they
Nick
always
Briggs and you put a different ring modulator on it.
I know, but it still doesn't translate well because so much of what the Ood does is visual.
Some of it is. But it does take you away that you're trying to figure out which Ood is which, and I believe they all had similar voices. So yeah, that
Yes,
does
they
take away
did.
a lot from it.
Anyway, what I didn't like is I swear to God they didn't really handle the Sensorites that well. They seemed too down to earth in a way. They didn't seem to be as distantly talking as they did in the original episode. And
Well,
I thought that they would have had the guys research the original one and get their mannerisms down a little better.
Well, was it ever established like how much time has passed for the Sensorites?
No,
From-
probably around 50 years, but
yeah, I was just gonna say I know, but I would assume at least 50 years or more.
It's hard to tell considering the fact that they sent Time Lords back in time and everything, so it's a new timeline anyway. But
Yeah,
all
so
they
it's
know
like
is that Ian and Susan are known to the Sensorites, so it's at some point after the episode.
that raises questions in itself. If the Time Lords went back, reset that entire thing, would that have changed Ian's memory of the original episode?
Not really, because as long as they didn't mention that they were from Gallifrey, it shouldn't affect much of anything.
But you would have thought that, instead of trying to steal the lock from the TARDIS, the Sensorites would have gone, oop, oop, TARDIS, whoa, Time Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you would have thought so, but I don't know. Well, most of them were human anyways, so they still probably had their reservations.
It's just one of those questions that,
Yeah, they're one of those questions where you do wonder a little bit, but
causality, deal with that.
Especially since the Sensorites is one of the episodes where Susan talks about her experiences on Gallifrey.
Although never mentioning Gallifrey by name because it
Right.
hadn't been named yet.
Right.
Oh, that's also another thing I really liked, actually, is that Ian still showed the fact that he wasn't completely up to snuff on everything about the Doctor, and he's suddenly learning Gallifrey and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when Ian left, they just knew the Doctor wasn't from Earth.
Yeah.
All right, so we're up to favorite scene, Tim.
Oh, I love the scene where Susan goes to the meeting and the Sensorite is bitching about the muffins.
The biscuits.
The biscuits.
Her nightmare, yeah.
Susan's nightmare, yeah.
It's like
Susan's
the
anxiety
biscuits.
dream.
You
were supposed to bring biscuits. See, here's the recipe.
Here's the recipe. It's like, but how am I supposed to get this at this time of year? It's like,
aren't you a Time
Lord,
Lord?
aren't you?
When I realized Susan had a nightmare, I was waiting for the and what were you thinking of coming dressed like that? Oh God, I'm naked to the meeting. It's like every anxiety dream ever.
Well, to be fair, her fever dream was not like some of my fever dreams, so I'm just like, God, I know this panic and sleep well.
I remember I was so confused and I thought I had missed something, and then I listened to it again and I was like, oh wait, it's a dream.
It's all echoey.
Well, yeah, I didn't realize it was a dream until end of it, until I thought about it, and it's like, wait a minute, logic.
I was like, wow, these Sensorites are real dicks.
Muffin button.
Don't you have a time machine? Can't you go and get this? Yeah. All right. So, Matt, your favorite scene?
Oh gosh, my favorite scene. Ian defeats the enemy by cell phone ringtone.
That's actually
Yeah.
my least favorite scene, and I'll talk about that in a moment.
You'll be fighting with me about this, but I feel like it made a lot of sense and it was amusing because there are literally ringtones out there where I'm just like, turn it off.
That's not my issue, but we'll
But yeah,
Bill.
So I'm going with the scene where Susan conjures up the army of figments,
that was an interesting idea too.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and
slightly
it
different.
also it built off the idea that Susan was a little more telepathically gifted than many Time Lords.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I like the flashback
Yeah.
on how the Sensorites defeated the Daleks the first time.
That was good too.
All right, least favorite, Tim.
I didn't like the flashback where the Sensorites defeated the Daleks because it seemed to me that the Daleks were acting very much out of character. It was like, you're talking too loud. We will comply and stay like, and then the Sensorites saying, "Oh, we'll get what you want," and the Daleks say, "Thank you." It's like that doesn't sound like something a Dalek would say.
Daleks
Yeah.
have been known to use subterfuge until they get what they want.
Yeah, at least when it's a first contact thing.
Yeah, they've been known to act nice, and then reveal themselves to be the complete dicks that they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wasn't too surprised actually. But I was amused by the Sensorites going, they're actually trying to rob us of technology so they can build more of them. Fuck these guys.
All right, Matt. Your least favorite scene.
My least favorite scene. It's half Sensorite, half dog. The fuck no?
Yeah, that honestly didn't make much sense to me.
It'd be one thing if the Daleks left some sort of psychic entity thing inside the core of the sense sphere, but the fact that it's some sort of squiggly half Dalek, half Sensorite thing makes me just go, what?
And that's the way that they could have built the Ood sphere into this. Could you imagine if the Daleks had captured and somehow managed to convert an Ood?
Oh, that would have been more interesting too. Yeah, if they completely like mind ganked an Ood and put it in there, because that's technically possible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That would have been a Chekhov's gun feedback issue, and that would have made more sense than trying to create a Dalek Sensorite hybrid, because the Daleks wouldn't tolerate such a thing anyway because it's not pure.
Yep.
Well, at least as soon as it's done doing its job, they'd immediately eliminate it anyway. Either way.
Mm-hmm. All right, Bill.
They turned on the Dalek human hybrid pretty quickly.
Yeah. Bill.
So this is related to something Matt was talking about earlier, and this was it rubbed me the wrong kind of way that Ian's here talking to Barbara. She's on her way home, and they're just like, yeah, fuck her. We only want you for this adventure. She can hear about it over tea.
Yeah, that is
like,
one thing.
I get the rock and the hard place argument, but I kind of would have wished they just hadn't teased that at all.
Mm-hmm. It would have been better if they had waited till Ian was just off the phone, and then had them come in, so they wouldn't have had to face that.
Mm-hmm.
Or even like, oh, she's away with family. She can't come home right now, or
or something.
But
yeah,
that the whole put it down, because Ian would have basically been like, "Fuck you."
Right.
I don't care. The universe is at stake. Yeah, this is Barbara. Fuck you. And yeah, it just brought it too close. I agree with that. I still state I understand why they didn't recast her, but yeah.
But there's ways to work around it too. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So as I mentioned, my least favorite scene is them using the cell phone for that. Not because it doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense. My only beef with this is the choice of ringtone they use.
Yeah, I would pick something more annoying.
Exactly.
I'm
looking at my cell phone
like
right
it was
now.
a war crime to use a sonic weapon or something.
No. I have on my phone probably has about 50 ringtones on it. I can tell you about half of those are more annoying than the one they used.
Yes.
And the fact that they filmed this within the last like 2-3 years, right?
Yeah. This is like within the last year, I'm sure.
Mhm. I mean,
Meant that they could have easily
Mhm.
have pulled a phone with a ringtone that was more annoying than that.
but it would have had to be something the BBC or no, not sorry, that was cheap to get the audio rights to.
I'm pretty
There's
sure.
lots of really bad music out there, Bill, that you can easily get the rights to.
Mhm.
I can guarantee you it, Bill.
Even generic cell phone alarm sounding chime noises would have been better.
Hell, just a generic freaking alarm clock, annoying screeching sound would have been better.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I mean, come on. Who
But
doesn't immediately want to take a hammer to that?
instead they get doodle-doo, 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 and I'm like, I could relax to this.
Yeah, if you just turn it down slightly, I could relax to this. This is actually classical music. Might even fall asleep to it.
Mhm.
I've been
So,
known to take
yeah,
naps while listening to music.
that annoyed me because I would have thought that, yeah, using that, he's like, I'll choose the most annoying ringtone on my phone. I'm like, no, that's not.
No,
If
there's
you've
worse
had this
things on there.
phone in the last 5 years, there's got to be something more annoying than that.
So what that clearly says is that he does not have grandchildren, because he would definitely have learned a more annoying ringtone if he did.
You know, my freaking phone plays death metal, but I've chose it to play death metal because it wakes me the fuck up.
I play some of my remix
In
music
fact,
as an alarm.
I'm pretty sure most of you in this podcast know this because you've roomed with me at GeekCon.
Yep.
You know what my phone sounds like, and it's the same damn thing that was on my last phone. Awaken, 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 awaken.
Awaken.
If I was ever asleep when you woke up, I tuned it out.
See, the thing is, I literally can't because I've trained myself to go, oh shit,
Mm.
it's time to wake up. There's two noises I wake up for. That and the Doctor Who theme. By the way, the Doctor Who theme is also on my phone as an alert to say, oh yeah, I need to get ready for the podcast. Those are the two alarms on my phone. There's technically a third, but that was more of a notification thing, not for trying to wake me out of a dead sleep. Anyway, so that's my least favorite scene. I stand by it in the fact that that should have been a more annoying sound.
Yes, I will agree with you on that. That should have been a more annoying sound of some kind. The rest of it was perfectly fine, though.
Oh yeah, I agree with the rest of it. It's only their choice of sound that bothered me. All right, so final thoughts, Tim.
Final thoughts. I thought this was a pretty good intro to a bigger set of stories, while it was at the same time being a good story in and of itself. The Daleks and the Sensorites, I thought, were handled okay. Caroline Ford was a joy to hear here, and I'll give William Russell props for like trying his best, you know. But
Trying his best to sound like himself.
yeah.
Which all he has to do is talk, but okay.
Okay, but yeah. So this was a pretty okay episode story. Yeah.
All right. So, Matt.
I love this. I need more of this. Oh wait, 3 more parts.
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously,
That all you have to say?
that's generally it. I really liked a lot of this. My negatives were nitpicks essentially to me, as far as I'm concerned. A lot of this was just really solidly good. I liked a lot of what was going on. I do genuinely want more. I can't wait.
All right, Bill.
So I was very glad to see a return of the Sensorites. There's always one of my favorite episodes from the first season of Doctor Who, and it was great to see them return to, especially in the context of Susan, who I always felt that was an episode that she was really strong in. It was also good to see her working with Ian again, because they could easily have done this box set without any past companions, and I think it would have fallen a little more flat had they not made any effort to bring William Russell in. So I appreciate that they were able to do that. And otherwise, yeah, there were a few issues with it, but I consider them to be pretty minor ones. Overall, I enjoyed this story and considered it a well written, and it hit the right emotional beats for what it was trying to do.
All right. So, yeah, I liked this overall. I'm not as enthused as Matt is, but still, I thought this was good. I did feel the censorites were a bit off, but I loved hearing Carol Ann Ford and William Russell again. Side note: are you aware that William Russell's son is also an actor?
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I didn't.
Mm-hmm. You might recognize him as Harry Potter's dorm mate Dean Thomas in the film.
Okay.
That is Alfred Enoch, which is his son.
That was the black kid, right?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Oh, one other thing I did not mention that I wanted to mention too. We got background on Susan in this episode too.
Oh yeah.
She got married, she had a kid, and then the Daleks fricking came back.
That some of that might have been referenced in An Earthly Child, which was the Susan Eighth Doctor team up previous.
Okay.
The big finish.
I have not listened to that yet, but that's the impression I got, was that it had been covered in that.
I had no idea, and I'm just like, oh, and you just hear the tone in her voice as she starts going quiet. I'm like, no.
Although that, thinking about that does make me wonder where she was during Terra Firma.
When did that take place?
If they ever gave it a
I'm just trying to even look it up.
if they gave it a year, it's not on TARDIS Data Core.
Audio. Okay, it's an Eighth Doctor thing.
Yeah, we reviewed it.
Okay. So I like this, like all that. Let's rate it. And I believe Tim was first.
Yep, Tim.
Are you muted?
Since this wasn't Time Lash, I'm going to give this 0 stars. I'm just kidding.
I said Tim is giving us 0 stars. We're lighting his house on fire. I mean, lock the doors and windows.
All right,
Tim, I'm reprogramming the orbital kill sat now.
Okay, I'll give this 4 stars.
That sounds more reasonable.
Oops, wrong color. All right.
Oh, it just went all red. Sorry, Tim.
Well, it was red because the last thing I did was label Bill's late review on the Smugglers, so it was still in the red type for me. I just had to change it back. Anyway,
it was red. You're dead, Tim. I'm sorry.
Matt.
I'm actually gonna be a little more happier than Tim. I've been struggling, but I'm thinking I'm sitting with a 4.5 so far.
4.5. Bill.
I'm thinking 4.0.
4.0.
I'm gonna be the high boy.
Really, the only thing I have issues with is the sensorites and that sound. I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Woo!
Which will give it an average of 4.3. which will put this on our rankings. Pretty far up there. 104 out of what is now 347 things reviewed. It is on par with Spearhead from Space, Web of Fear, Battle of Ranskor of Kalos, Dalek Invasion of Earth, Torchwood Fragments, Exit Wounds, Destiny of the Doctor, Babelsphere, Destiny of the Doctor, Shadow of Death, Destiny of the Doctor, or excuse me, not that one. That's a 4.4. It is better than Power of Kroll, Hellbent, Frontier in Space, Destiny of the Daleks, The Shakespeare Code, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. Oh, really? Okay.
Better than Nikola Tesla.
Warders of the Kudlak, End of the Line, Death and the Queen. But it is not as good as I was going to mention, Destiny of the Doctor, Smoke and Mirrors, Storm Warning, Judgment of Iskar, Time Reaver. Yeah. 104 out of 347 things reviewed. That's all we are going to say about Sphere of Influence.
All right, so I'd love to hear if anybody in the audience has listened to this audio drama or has decided to go and get it, since I know it's a purchase, it's not on TV, because of the podcast. Either way, we'd love to hear what you think. Don't forget to like or dislike the podcast if you feel those things, and to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube to get our exports, or to follow us on Twitch to get alerted of our new stream.
And if you do decide to purchase this from Big Finish based on hearing our review, please tell that to Big Finish. So they might be grateful of us and give us free stuff.
Actually, if I remember to, I might share the video when it comes out on Twitter, and also include an at Big Finish.
Anyway, next week, we are going to continue Susan's War, moving on to the next audio. It is Big Finish, Susan's War, The Uncertain Shore. I believe that's written by the same person. I'm actually not sure of that.
It's
no,
not the
it is
same
by
person. It's not
it is
the same
by
person.
Simon.
Yeah.
And starring once again Carol Ann Ford as Susan.
And we should probably count Beth Chalmers as Veclin as
I guess so.
As a what? Because he cut off for me.
a companion.
Oh, okay. Might be a companion, yeah. We'll see. Anyways, good night.
Nighty night.
Right?
Oh,
See you next week.